Danielle Nellis exhaled slowly as she checked her laptop clock. 10:01 a.m. 2 minutes until her quarterly review with the consulting team. Before we begin, thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy stories like this. Just enough time to pull up the spreadsheet she'd been analyzing all week. Those puzzling financial transactions that kept leading to dead ends and shell companies with impossibly clean books. She straightened the collar of her charcoal blazer, grabbed her coffee mug, and clicked the Zoom link from her calendar invitation. The screen loaded, but instead of the familiar grid of her colleagues' faces, she found herself staring at a single figure. A man in an immaculate navy suit, seated in what appeared to be a penthouse office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a glittering cityscape she didn't recognize. Dark hair, sharp features, and eyes that seemed to assess her with unsettling precision. This definitely wasn't her 10:03 quarterly review. "I'm so sorry," Danielle said quickly, her cursor already moving toward the disconnect button. "Wrong meeting." "Don't leave yet, Ms. Nellis," the man interrupted. His voice carrying the kind of authority that didn't ask, it commanded. "We have things to discuss." Danielle's hand froze mid-click. Her heart stumbled. "Ms. Nellis." He knew her name. I think there's been a mistake with my calendar," she managed, her professional composure fracturing at the edges. The man leaned forward slightly, his expensive suit jacket shifting with the movement. "You're Danielle Nellis, aren't you? Senior forensic accountant at Meridian Consulting." Her stomach dropped. A quick, panicked glance at the meeting details made her blood run cold. The host name read, Aaron S. Johnson. Aaron S. Johnson. The name she'd seen buried in financial documents for the past 3 weeks. The name attached to millions moving through shell companies, transactions that didn't add up, money that vanished and reappeared across international borders like smoke. "Mr. Johnson, I apologize for the intrusion," Danielle said carefully, her mind racing through possibilities. "There must be some technical error." "No error, Danielle," he replied, his expression unreadable but his gaze unwavering. "I specifically arranged this meeting." He paused, the hint of a smile touching his lips. Controlled, dangerous. "Though I expected the invitation to be more subtle." Danielle's throat tightened. "Arranged. Not accidental. Not a calendar glitch." "You've been looking into my business," Aaron continued, his tone conversational, almost pleasant. 3 weeks of digging through financial records. Very thorough work, by the way. Impressive attention to detail." Her hands went cold. He'd been watching her, tracking her investigation. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," she said, hating how her voice wavered. "I'm just doing routine compliance work." "Danielle." He said her name like he'd known her for years. "Let's not waste time on pretense. You've identified irregularities in accounts connected to 7 of my subsidiary companies. You've traced fund transfers through 3 international banks. You even flagged the Luxembourg holding company I thought was particularly well hidden." She couldn't breathe. Every word he spoke was accurate. Every detail she'd documented in her private notes she hadn't shared with anyone yet. "So I thought," Aaron continued, settling back in his chair with the ease of someone completely in control, "it was time we met, face to face. Well," he gestured at the screen between them, "as close as circumstances allow." Danielle's finger trembled over the disconnect button. Every instinct screamed at her to end the call, delete everything, run. But Aaron's next words pinned her in place. "Before you leave, you should know, that meeting link wasn't wrong. You were invited, Danielle. You just didn't realize you'd already accepted." The cursor hovered, Her heart hammered against her ribs. "What do you want?" she whispered. His smile widened fractionally, a predator's smile, patient and certain. "To talk about your future. Because right now you have two options." He leaned forward again, his eyes locked on hers through the screen. "You can work for me. Or you can become a problem I need to solve." The city behind him glittered in the late morning sun, beautiful and indifferent. "And Danielle." Aaron's voice dropped, intimate and terrible. "I'm very good at solving problems." Danielle Nellis had built her entire career on precision. Numbers didn't lie. Patterns revealed truth. And rules kept the world from descending into chaos. At 31, she'd earned her reputation as Meridian Consulting's most thorough forensic accountant. While other analysts rushed through compliance checks, Danielle excavated. She followed paper trails into international tax havens, unraveled shell company structures, and found the discrepancies everyone else missed. Her apartment reflected the same meticulousness: alphabetized bookshelves, color-coded filing system, morning routine executed with clockwork efficiency. Coffee at 7:15. Emails by 8 o'clock. Spreadsheets organized before her first meeting. Control. Order. Predictability. Except this Monday morning something felt wrong. For 3 weeks, Danielle had been investigating financial irregularities flagged by an algorithm. Transactions moving through a network of subsidiary companies with suspiciously clean books. Millions transferred between accounts in patterns that looked legitimate on the surface but felt orchestrated underneath. 7 companies. 3 international banks. 1 Luxembourg holding company buried so deep she'd almost missed it. Every lead ended at the same name: Aaron S. Johnson. She'd found almost nothing about him personally. No social media presence. No interviews. Just a registration listing him as CEO of ASJ Capital Holdings, a private investment firm managing diversified portfolios for high-net-worth clients. The kind of description that said everything and nothing. Danielle had compiled her findings into a preliminary report, saved on her encrypted drive, shared with no one. She needed more evidence before escalating to her supervisor. Accusations against wealthy executives required bulletproof documentation. At 10:01 a.m., she clicked the Zoom link for her quarterly review. The screen loaded. Man. Not her team. Penthouse office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Navy suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. And eyes that looked at her like he'd been expecting her. "Wrong meeting," she said, reaching for disconnect. "Don't leave yet, Ms. Nellis. We have things to discuss." Her hand froze. "Ms. Nellis. You're Danielle A. Nellis, aren't you? Senior forensic accountant at Meridian Consulting." The meeting host name stared back at her. Aaron S. Johnson. Impossible. This had to be coincidence. Technical error. Calendar systems glitched all the time. "Mr. Johnson, I apologize. There must be some mistake." "No mistake, Danielle. I specifically arranged this meeting." His voice carried absolute certainty. "You've been looking into my business. 3 weeks of digging through financial records. Very thorough work." The air left her lungs. He knew. He'd been watching her. "You've traced fund transfers through 3 international banks," Aaron continued calmly. "Flagged the Luxembourg holding company. Identified irregularities in 7 subsidiary accounts." He leaned forward. "So I thought it was time we met." Danielle's carefully ordered world tilted on its axis. This wasn't a wrong meeting. This was a trap. And she'd walked directly into it. "Before you leave," Aaron said, his expression unreadable, "you should understand something. That link wasn't wrong. You were invited. Her finger hovered over disconnect, paralyzed. What do you want? She whispered. To discuss your future. Because right now you have two options. His eyes locked onto hers through the screen. Work for me. Or become a problem I need to solve. The smile that followed was patient, controlled, and absolutely terrifying. And Danielle. I'm very good at solving problems. Danielle stared at the screen, her mind fracturing into panic and analysis. Disconnect. Report him. Call someone. Move. But Aaron's voice cut through her paralysis. You're wondering how long I've known. He tilted his head slightly, studying her. 3 weeks, 2 days. Since the moment you flagged the first transaction. Her stomach lurched. That long. Your morning routine is admirable. Coffee at 7:15, always from the cafe on 10th Street. You order the same thing. Medium roast, no sugar, splash of cream. Tuesdays and Thursdays you go to that yoga studio near your apartment. The one with the purple awning. Danielle's hands went numb. You live alone. 3rd floor corner unit. Your mother calls every Sunday at 6. Your sister, Rebecca, isn't it? She just started her residency at St. Catherine's Hospital. Stop. The word came out strangled. Aaron leaned back, unhurried. I'm not trying to frighten you, Danielle. I'm establishing context. You've spent 3 weeks learning about me. It's only fair you understand how much I know about you. You're threatening my family. I'm stating facts. His tone remained conversational, almost pleasant. Though I suppose facts can feel threatening when you realize how exposed you are. She forced herself to breathe. What do you want? I want you to understand your situation clearly. You've uncovered evidence of money laundering, significant operations spanning multiple jurisdictions, transactions that, if exposed, would dismantle an enterprise worth hundreds of millions. So you're admitting. I'm clarifying. Aaron's eyes hardened. You believe you've found proof of criminal activity. And you're right. But proof is meaningless if you can't use it. The authorities won't protect you. He interrupted smoothly. I have people in law enforcement, Danielle. Prosecutors. Judges. Your report would never make it to trial. It would disappear. And shortly after, so would you. The words hung between them, polite and devastating. You can't just. I can. I have. Aaron's expression didn't change. 17 times in the last decade, actually. People who saw too much, asked too many questions, thought they could expose me. He paused. None of them succeeded. Danielle's throat tightened. Then why am I still alive? Because you're useful. Aaron's smile returned, calculated and cold. You're exceptional at what you do. Meticulous. Thorough. Exactly the kind of talent I need. I would never work for you. You will. Because your alternative is unacceptable. He leaned forward again, his voice dropping. I'm offering you a position, Danielle. Internal auditor for my operations. Legitimate salary. Comfortable life. Protection. Protection from you. Protection from everyone. His gaze locked onto hers. Work for me and you're untouchable. Refuse, and your investigation becomes evidence of corporate espionage. Your family becomes collateral. Your life becomes, he paused, searching for the word, complicated. The city glittered behind him, beautiful and merciless. I'm not asking you to decide now, Aaron said quietly. Take 48 hours. Think carefully. But understand this, there's no third option. No escape clause. No authority that can help you. His next words were almost gentle. You were always meant to be here, Danielle. You just didn't know it yet. The screen went dark. He'd ended the call. Danielle sat frozen at her desk for 20 minutes after the screen went dark, her mind cycling through options like an algorithm searching for solutions. Go to the police. No, Aaron claimed he had people there. But could she risk believing him? She opened her encrypted files. 3 weeks of documentation stared back at her. Transaction records, corporate registrations, international wire transfers. Solid evidence. Prosecutable evidence. Unless Aaron was telling the truth. At 2:47 p.m., Danielle grabbed her laptop bag and left the office early, citing a migraine. No one questioned it. She drove to the federal building downtown, parked 3 blocks away, and sat in her car for 15 minutes, watching the entrance. Normal people walking in and out. Lawyers, agents, civil servants. Could any of them be on Aaron's payroll? She forced herself out of the car. Inside, the reception desk was staffed by a woman in her 50s with reading glasses on a chain. Professional. Unremarkable. I need to speak with someone about financial crimes, Danielle said quietly. The receptionist handed her a form. Fill this out. Someone will call you within 72 hours. I need to speak with someone today. Ma'am, unless you have an appointment. It's about money laundering. International transactions. Hundreds of millions. The receptionist's expression didn't change. Fill out the form. Danielle took it to a chair by the window, her hands shaking as she wrote. Contact information. Nature of complaint. She was sealing the envelope when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her thumb hovered, then answered. Danielle. Aaron's voice. Almost amused. Federal building on 8th Street. Bold choice. Her blood turned to ice. She looked around the lobby. Security cameras, other visitors, the receptionist. How are you? Did you really think I wasn't watching? He sounded disappointed. I told you. My reach extends everywhere. She stood abruptly, walking toward the exit. People turned to look. I have evidence, she whispered fiercely. Documentation. Proof. You have papers that will disappear the moment you hand them over. Aaron's tone hardened. Do you know Deputy Director Marcus Chen? He oversees financial crimes investigation. Excellent prosecutor. Also, coincidentally, heavily invested in one of my subsidiary funds. His daughter's education trust. Managed by ASJ Capital. Danielle pushed through the doors into afternoon sunlight, gasping. Or perhaps you'd prefer Detective Sarah Williams in the Economic Crimes Unit. She drives a Lexus on a civil servant salary. I'm sure that's not suspicious. You're lying. Test me. Hand over your evidence. See what happens. His pause felt calculated. Or rather, see what happens to you. She reached her car, fumbling with the keys. You're not the first person to try this, Danielle. A forensic analyst named Michael Torres, 2 years ago, gathered evidence, went to the FBI. Aaron's voice dropped. His report vanished. 3 days later, his laptop was found with child pornography. His career ended before the investigation began. That's effective, Aaron finished. I could do the same to you. Plant evidence. Destroy your reputation. Have you arrested for the very crimes you're trying to expose? He let that sink in. Or worse. Your sister's hospital. Your mother's home. How difficult would it be to arrange accidents? Danielle's vision blurred with tears she refused to shed. You have 36 hours left, Aaron said quietly. Use them wisely. And Danielle, don't go to the authorities again. Next time I won't just call. The line went dead. She sat in her car outside the federal building, evidence in her bag, and understood with crushing certainty. She was completely, utterly alone. Danielle didn't sleep that night. Every sound in her apartment felt amplified. The creak of floorboards, the hum of the refrigerator, footsteps in the hallway above. She searched for cameras, running her hands along smoke detectors, checking outlets, inspecting light fixtures. Nothing. But Erin's surveillance didn't need to be visible to be real. At 7:03 a.m., her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You're out of coffee. There's a cafe 2 blocks west. They open at 7. She stared at the message, then at her empty coffee canister on the counter. He was watching. Right now. Danielle grabbed her laptop and checked for spyware, running every diagnostic tool she knew. Clean. Her phone. Factory reset, new passwords. Her email. Changed credentials, enabled two-factor authentication. At 11:24 a.m., another text. Changing passwords won't help. You're being careful. I appreciate that. Her hands shook as she typed back. Leave me alone. The response came immediately. 24 hours left. Danielle. Make the right choice. She threw the phone across the room. At 3:15 p.m., her doorbell rang. Danielle approached cautiously, checking the peephole. A delivery driver in a branded uniform stood holding an enormous white box tied with black ribbon. She opened the door. I didn't order anything. The driver smiled professionally. Delivery for Danielle Nellis. Sign here, please. Her signature felt like surrender. Inside the box. A MacBook Pro latest model. A handwritten note on heavy cream cardstock in elegant script. For your work, you'll need better tools. ASJ. Danielle dropped it like it burned her. The next morning, flowers arrived. 24 white roses in a crystal vase. No card needed. That afternoon, a package from Saks Fifth Avenue. A midnight blue dress, size 6, her exact measurements. The fabric felt like water under her fingers, obscenely expensive. She left everything untouched in her living room like evidence at a crime scene. At 6 p.m., her mother's Sunday call came through. Sweetheart, the strangest thing happened today, her mother said cheerfully. A car service showed up and paid off my vehicle. Said it was some corporate rewards program I'd enrolled in. Isn't that wonderful? Danielle's throat closed. Mom, what company? I don't remember, dear. Something with initials. They were very professional. J Capital. Mom, listen to me. Oh, and your sister called. Someone donated new equipment to her hospital wing. State-of-the-art monitors. Rebecca said it's worth hundreds of thousands. What a blessing. Danielle ended the call and immediately dialed Rebecca. Did you accept equipment from ASJ Capital? She demanded. What? No, it came through an anonymous foundation. Danny, what's wrong? Everything. Everything was wrong. Her phone buzzed. Erin. She answered, voice trembling with rage. Stay away from my family. I haven't touched your family. His tone was maddeningly calm. I've helped them. Your mother's car was a financial burden. Your sister's hospital needed resources. I provided solutions. These aren't gifts. They're threats. They're demonstrations, Danielle, of what your life could look like. Comfortable, secure, protected. He paused. Or they're reminders of how easily I can reach the people you love. She couldn't breathe. You have 12 hours, Erin continued quietly. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., you'll receive another Zoom link. This time, you'll know exactly what meeting you're joining. And if I don't, then the gifts stop. And consequences begin. His voice dropped to something almost gentle. Choose wisely, Danielle. I'd hate to waste your potential. The line went dead. Danielle stood in her apartment surrounded by expensive gifts and invisible cameras, finally understanding. There was no escape. There never had been. At 10 a.m., Danielle clicked the Zoom link. This time she knew exactly where she was going. Aaron appeared on screen in the same penthouse office, but now she noticed details she'd missed before. The Rothko on the wall behind him, worth millions. The Patek Philippe on his wrist. The casual confidence of someone who'd never been told no. Good morning, Danielle. His tone was professional, almost warm. I'm glad you decided to join me. I didn't decide anything, she said flatly. You're here. That's decision enough. He opened a folder on his desk. Let's discuss terms. Terms. Her laugh was bitter. You mean conditions of my captivity? I prefer to think of it as employment. Aaron's expression remained pleasant. You'll serve as senior financial consultant for ASJ Capital Holdings. Your official role will be ensuring compliance across all subsidiary operations, legitimate work, fully documented. Laundering money isn't legitimate work. Your job will be making it appear legitimate. There's a difference. He slid a document toward the camera. Annual salary. $450,000. Performance bonuses. Full benefits. Pension plan. The number staggered her. Triple her current salary. You're buying me. I'm compensating you appropriately for your expertise. Aaron leaned back. You'll work remotely most days, report directly to me. Occasionally you'll travel. Always first class, always accompanied by security. You mean handlers. Protection, he corrected smoothly. My employees are valuable assets. I take care of what's mine. The possessiveness in that phrase made her skin crawl. And if I refuse? Aaron's expression finally hardened. Then at 10:47 a.m., your mother will receive a call from the IRS. Tax fraud investigation. Years of back taxes allegedly owed. Her retirement savings frozen. Danielle's hands clenched. At 11:15, your sister's hospital will receive an anonymous report about prescription medication discrepancies in her wing. Career-ending accusations. Police involvement likely. You wouldn't. I would. I will. His voice stayed level, factual. By noon, you'll be under investigation for embezzling from Meridian Consulting. Evidence already planted in your accounts. Arrest warrant by end of business day. Each word landed like a physical blow. Or, Aaron continued, his tone softening, you sign the contract. Your family stays safe. Your mother keeps her savings. Your sister's career flourishes. You live comfortably, do challenging work, and no one gets hurt. He held up a document. It's already prepared. Standard employment contract, non-disclosure agreement, non-compete clause. Everything legally binding. Except the part where you're a criminal. Allegedly. His smile was slight. That's what you'll be protecting me from, allegations. Danielle stared at the screen, her vision blurring. Every principle she'd built her life on was crumbling. Rules. Systems, justice. None of it mattered when power operated outside those boundaries. How long? She whispered. The contract is for 5 years. After that, we renegotiate. 5 years of my life. 5 years of your family's safety. Aaron's eyes locked onto hers. Choose, Danielle. But choose now. The silence stretched between them, heavy and final. She thought of her mother's voice on Sunday calls. Rebecca's excitement about her residency. Her own reflection in the mirror, the person she used to be. "Send the contract," Danielle said, her voice breaking. Aaron nodded, no triumph in his expression. "You're making the right choice. I'm making the only choice." She forced herself to look at him. "That doesn't make it right. Right and wrong are luxuries, Danielle. Survival is necessity." The contract appeared in her email. She downloaded it, read through clauses that bound her to a criminal empire, and signed her name. Danielle A. Nellis. The woman she'd been dyed with that signature. "Welcome to ASJ Capital," Aaron said quietly. She closed her laptop and sat in the silence of her apartment, wondering if she'd just saved her family or destroyed herself. The work began immediately. Danielle received her first assignment at 8 a.m. the next morning. Restructure the ownership chain for a commercial real estate portfolio. 23 properties across 4 states, purchased with cash that couldn't be traced back to Aaron directly. She spent 6 hours mapping corporate structures, creating layers of LLCs and holding companies. Each entity technically legitimate, registered with proper documentation, tax IDs filed correctly. On paper, everything looked clean. She knew exactly what she was doing, obscuring the origin of illegal money. But the technical challenge was elegant, complex, like solving a 3-dimensional puzzle where every piece had to fit perfectly or the entire structure collapsed. When she finished, she felt a flicker of satisfaction, then immediate self-loathing. Aaron called that evening. "Excellent work. The restructure is flawless." "It's money laundering," Danielle said flatly. "It's financial architecture." His tone carried approval that made her stomach turn. "You have a gift for this." She hung up without responding. The assignments continued, each one more sophisticated than the last. Create shell companies in Delaware and Nevada. Establish offshore accounts in the Caymans. Structure investments that moved money through legitimate businesses. Restaurants, car washes, consulting firms, transforming dirty cash into clean profit. Danielle worked 12-hour days, building Aaron's empire one transaction at a time. She told herself she had no choice. That survival justified compromise. That protecting her family meant accepting moral contamination. But late at night, alone with her spreadsheets, she couldn't deny the truth. Part of her was fascinated. The intellectual complexity was unlike anything she'd encountered in corporate compliance. Aaron's operation was sophisticated, multi-layered, internationally coordinated. Finding weaknesses, strengthening structures, creating systems that could withstand forensic scrutiny. It required every skill she possessed. And she was exceptional at it. 3 weeks in, Aaron sent her a portfolio analysis for a pharmaceutical distribution network. Legal business on the surface, but the profit margins were impossible without additional revenue streams. Underground operations hidden within legitimate infrastructure. She should have refused. Should have found some way to sabotage it. Instead, she spent 2 days restructuring their accounting protocols, creating separation between legal and illegal operations so seamless that even experienced investigators would struggle to prove connection. When she submitted it, Aaron's response was immediate. "You're wasted in compliance work, Danielle. You're a strategist." The compliment shouldn't have pleased her, but it did. That realization kept her awake that night. She was becoming complicit not just in action but in mindset. The work no longer felt like survival, it felt like achievement. She caught herself anticipating assignments, eager to solve increasingly complex problems. Aaron noticed. During their next video meeting, he studied her with unsettling perception. "You're enjoying this." "I'm not." "You are." He leaned forward. "I see it in your work. The creativity, the precision. You're not just following instructions anymore. You're innovating. Danielle's hands clenched. I'm doing what you force me to do. Are you? His smile was knowing. Because no one forced you to redesign the pharmaceutical protocols. Asked for analysis. You gave me transformation. She had no response. There's no shame in excellence, Danielle. Even in work you didn't choose. His voice softened. The question isn't whether you're good at this. It's whether you can accept that you are. The call ended, leaving her staring at financial models that proved her guilt. Not just guilt by coercion. Guilt by competence. By engagement. By the terrible satisfaction of work done perfectly, regardless of its moral cost. Danielle closed her laptop and recognized the woman she was becoming. Someone who could justify anything. And that terrified her more than Aaron ever had. The shift happened gradually, then all at once. It started during their weekly strategy calls. Aaron would review her work with the kind of focused attention Danielle had never experienced from anyone. Not professors, not supervisors, not the colleagues who'd praised her skills but never truly understood them. He understood. You restructured the Cyprus account, Aaron said during their fourth week, studying her documentation. This wasn't in the assignment parameters. Danielle's defenses rose. The original structure had vulnerabilities. I corrected them. I know. His eyes met hers through the screen. I'm not criticizing. I'm impressed. The approval shouldn't have mattered. But her pulse quickened anyway. Their conversations extended beyond assignments. Aaron asked about her methodology, her analytical approach, the patterns she noticed that others missed. He listened, genuinely listened, in a way that made her feel seen for the first time in years. It was manipulative. She knew that. It was also intoxicating. 6 weeks in, Aaron requested an in-person meeting. The Carlisle Hotel, Suite 2804. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Every instinct screamed danger. But Danielle arrived at 6:58. Her heart hammering as she knocked. Aaron opened the door in shirt sleeves. No jacket, collar unbuttoned. More human somehow. More dangerous because of it. The suite was elegant. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, expensive artwork, a bottle of wine breathing on the table. Not a business meeting. Something else entirely. Thank you for coming, Aaron said, gesturing to the sitting area. Danielle remained standing. What is this? Dinner? Conversation? His expression was unreadable. You've been working for me for 6 weeks. I thought we should meet face to face. You mean you wanted to remind me you can reach me whenever you want? I mean, Aaron said quietly, I wanted to see you. The admission hung between them, unexpected and devastating. Danielle should have left. Should have maintained the professional distance that kept her anchored to who she used to be. Instead she stayed. They talked for 3 hours. About finance, about strategy, about the intellectual architecture of complex systems. Aaron was brilliant. Not just knowledgeable but genuinely innovative. He challenged her assumptions, pushed her thinking, treated her like an equal. The criminal who destroyed her life was also the most stimulating person she'd ever met. That realization should have repulsed her. At 10:47 p.m., Aaron stood near the window, the city glittering behind him. You fascinate me, Danielle. She should have deflected. I'm your employee. You're captive. You're extraordinary. He turned, his gaze intense. The work you do, it's not compliance. It's artistry. It's criminal. It's both. Aaron stepped closer, not touching her, but close enough that she felt the pull. And you know it. Danielle's breath caught. 'Cause he was right. She was horrified by what he made her do, and exhilarated by how well she did it, horrified by his control, and attracted to the absolute certainty with which he wielded power. "I should go," she whispered. Aaron didn't stop her. "You'll be back." Walking to her car, Danielle recognized the terrible truth. Somewhere between coercion and competence, between captivity and collaboration, the dynamic had shifted. She wasn't just working for Aaron anymore. She was becoming someone who wanted to. The FBI arrived at Danielle's apartment at 6:47 a.m. She opened the door to find Special Agent Victoria Chen holding a badge and a warrant. Behind her, 3 agents in tactical gear swept through the rooms with methodical efficiency. "Danielle Nellis, we need you to come with us." Her mind went blank with panic. "I don't. We know about ASJ Capital. We know about Aaron Johnson. And we know you've been working for him." Chen's expression was professional, unreadable. "You're not under arrest. But we need to talk." The Federal Building interrogation room was exactly like the movies. Gray walls, metal table, recording equipment blinking red. Chen sat across from Danielle with a file folder thick enough to contain her entire ruined life. "We've been investigating Aaron Johnson for 18 months, Chen began. "Money laundering, racketeering, conspiracy. We're close to indictment. But we need evidence that will hold up in court." She opened the folder. Financial records Danielle recognized. Her work, her restructuring, her elegant criminal architecture. "We have documentation. But we need testimony from someone inside the operation." Chen leaned forward. "Someone who can explain how the money moves, where it comes from, where it goes." Danielle's throat tightened. "I want a lawyer. You're not being charged. We're offering immunity." Chen slid a document across the table. "Full protection from prosecution. Witness protection if necessary. New identity, relocation, safety for your family." The words blurred on the page. "Freedom. Justice. What do I have to do?" "Testify. Give us everything. Transactions, communications, evidence of Aaron's criminal enterprise." Chen's gaze hardened. 48 hours. That's how long until we move on this. With or without you." They released her at noon with a burner phone and instructions. "Call within 48 hours. Aside." Danielle drove home in a daze, her apartment feeling violated and foreign. The FBI had searched everything, left subtle disorder in their methodical wake. Her phone, her real phone, rang at 2:17 p.m. Aaron. "I assume we need to talk," he said calmly. "You know." Course he knew. He always knew. "Agent Chen is thorough. She's been pursuing me for years." Aaron paused. "She's also idealistic. She believes immunity agreements mean something. They're offering witness protection. They're offering a cage with different bars." His voice remained steady, factual. "New name. New city. Constant surveillance. Your mother and sister relocated. Their lives disrupted. Rebecca loses her residency. Your mother loses her community. You lose everyone you've ever been." Danielle's hands shook. "Better than prison. You won't go to prison. I'll make sure of that." Aaron's tone shifted, something almost vulnerable underneath. "Stay with me, Danielle. We'll weather this together. They have evidence. They have paperwork. They don't have you." He paused. "And they need you to make their case." The choice crystallized with terrible clarity. Destroy Aaron and lose herself, or protect him and lose her soul. "I can't decide this," she whispered. "You have 48 hours." Aaron's voice softened. "But Danielle, whatever you choose, I'll understand." The line went dead, leaving her suspended between two impossible futures. Danielle didn't call Agent Chen. The burner phone sat on her kitchen counter for 47 hours and 32 minutes before she dropped it in the East River, watching it sink into dark water that reflected nothing back. The FBI moved forward anyway. Indictments, raids, arrests of mid-level associates who couldn't afford Aaron's caliber of legal defense. Aaron himself remained untouchable. The evidence disappeared. Mishandled chain of custody, procedural errors, witnesses who suddenly couldn't recall crucial details. Agent Chen's 18-month investigation collapsed in 6 weeks. Danielle watched it happen from inside Aaron's operation. Her silence louder than any testimony could have been. Now, 6 months later, she stood in a penthouse apartment she didn't own, overlooking a city that felt simultaneously familiar and alien. The apartment was Aaron's gift. Appropriate accommodations for senior personnel. 23rd floor, wraparound windows. Furniture that cost more than her previous year's salary. Beautiful. Isolating. Worse. Her phone buzzed. Aaron. Dinner tonight. PM, my place. Not a command anymore. An invitation. The dynamic had shifted so gradually she couldn't identify the moment coercion became choice. She texted back, "I'll be there." Danielle dressed carefully. The midnight blue dress he'd sent months ago, finally removed from its box. Fit perfectly. Of course it did. Aaron understood her measurements better than she understood herself. At 7:54 p.m., she arrived at his penthouse. The same floor-to-ceiling windows from that first Zoom call, except now she stood in the physical space, breathing the same air. Aaron greeted her with wine, expensive and French. They discussed business over Chilean sea base, a pharmaceutical acquisition that needed restructuring, offshore accounts requiring consolidation, work that was simultaneously legitimate and criminal, depending on which lens you applied. The Chen investigation officially closed yesterday, Aaron mentioned casually. No charges filed. Danielle sipped her wine. I heard. You made that possible. His gaze held hers. By staying silent. I made a choice. Her voice was steady. I'm still deciding if it was the right one. There is no right choice, Danielle. Only consequences we can live with. After dinner they moved to the terrace. The city sprawled below them, millions of lives playing out in lighted windows. People who believed in good and evil, justice and corruption, clear lines that separated heroes from villains. Danielle used to be one of them. Do you regret it? Aaron asked quietly. She considered the question honestly. Her mother still called every Sunday, unaware of the darkness protecting her safety. Rebecca's residency thrived at a hospital equipped with technology Aaron's money provided. Danielle's own work challenged her in ways she'd never imagined possible. But late at night, alone in her beautiful cage, she sometimes wondered about the woman she used to be. The one who believed rules mattered, that systems worked, that integrity was worth sacrifice. That woman was dead. Danielle had killed her to survive. I regret that I don't regret it more, she finally answered. Aaron's hand found hers on the terrace railing. She didn't pull away. Below them, the city glittered with possibility and moral compromise, beautiful and merciless. Danielle had made her choice. She was still alive, still working, still entangled with the man who'd destroyed and remade her. The woman who'd entered that wrong Zoom meeting no longer existed. The woman who remained didn't know if that was freedom or damnation. Perhaps it was both. Thank you for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more.